Line 1. I am in control of my mind, my emotions, and my energy. Line 2. I am worthy of success, love, and abundance, just as I am. Line 3. My past does not define me, I do. Line 4. I am bigger than my fear and stronger than my excuses. Line 5. I take bold action, even when I don't feel ready. Line 6. I commit to growth, not comfort. Line 7. I love who I am and who I'm becoming. Every morning you have two choices: rise with intention or react by default. And the truth is, most people start their day on autopilot, scrolling, snoozing, surviving. But you're not most people. You are here because something inside you knows you're meant for more. That more begins the moment you speak power into your life. Not someday, now. Every morning I want you to command your day with these 7 lines, not as fluffy affirmations, but as battle cries, as declarations of your truth, your power, and your mission. So ask yourself, what identity are you rehearsing every morning? What version of you are you speaking into existence? Because the real danger isn't speaking the wrong thing once, it's repeating it so often that it becomes invisible to you. You become the echo chamber of your own limits. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You can choose new words. You can build a new script. You can lead yourself every morning like a champion with language that elevates, focuses, and unlocks you. But here's what most people miss. You don't have to feel powerful to speak powerfully. You don't have to wait to feel confident before saying something strong. The act of saying it begins to generate the feeling. Words come first, emotion follows. And repeated often enough, those words stop being motivation and start becoming memory, muscle memory, identity memory, truth, not borrowed truth, but embodied truth. Athletes do this. Leaders do this. Peak performers don't wait for motivation. They speak it into themselves. They remind themselves who they are before the day tries to tell them who to be. When you say, I'm disciplined even when you don't feel like it, your brain starts looking for ways to act in alignment with that identity. When you say, I create momentum, you prime yourself to move, and every action that follows confirms that identity. That's how belief is built. That's how change becomes real. Your identity isn't found, it's built. It's constructed moment by moment, word by word, choice by choice. You become what you repeat, and your repetition begins with language. If every morning you say, I'm overwhelmed, you become someone who lives overwhelmed. If every morning you say, I never follow through, guess what? You'll keep proving that true. Not because it's reality, but because your words made it your reality. The language you speak writes the script your mind and body follow. And when you speak intentionally, you're not just talking, you're programming. Every single morning, before the world starts speaking to you, you have the chance to speak to yourself. And that voice, the one you choose to listen to, will either limit you or launch you. Your morning words aren't just harmless phrases or empty air. They are declarations. They are commands to your subconscious. They are the instructions your brain follows as it decides who you are, what you're capable of, and how you'll show up in the world. Most people don't realize this. They wake up, immediately reach for their phone, scroll through other people's lives, compare, react, absorb, stress, fear, and noise. And then they wonder why they feel lost, behind, or unworthy by noon. But flip that. Start your morning with intention. Look in the mirror and say, I am powerful. I'm in control. Today I lead with courage. Say, I was made for this. Say, I rise no matter what. Speak to yourself with the same energy you'd use to lift up someone you love. Because here's the truth. No one's voice will ever matter more than your own when it comes to how you see yourself. Not your parents, not your boss, not the comments online. It's your own voice that sets the tone. That voice is either your greatest weapon or your worst enemy. And most people are letting it operate unchecked, unconsciously repeating stories that shrink them. The most powerful weapon you have isn't what the world says about you, it's what you say when no one is watching. And when you choose to start your day by speaking life, strength, and power into yourself, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. Confidence is not born in flawless execution. It doesn't show up after you've achieved the perfect body, the perfect resume, the perfect timing. That's a lie we've been sold, that confidence is some magical gift granted to people once they've checked every box. But real confidence, it's not about perfection. It's about ownership. Ownership of who you are, what you believe, how you show up, and what you're willing to step into, even when it's uncomfortable. The most powerful people you've ever seen on stages, in boardrooms, in any arena, they weren't confident because they were perfect. They were confident because they owned their space. They made a decision, I belong here, I'm going to give everything I've got, and I'm not going to wait for permission. That mindset is available to everyone. It's not reserved for the elite. It's something you build by choosing to show up fully, flaws and all. Perfection is the trap. It whispers, wait until you're ready. It tells you, fix yourself a little more before you try. It constantly moves the target, making you believe you're never quite enough, and the more you chase it, the more it drains your power. Confidence dies in the waiting room of perfection. But the moment you say, I may not be perfect, but I am powerful because I decide to be, that's when everything changes. Because you stop performing and start leading. But when you own your power, your gifts, your flaws, your progress, your truth, you become unshakable. People feel it. They don't resonate with perfection. They resonate with realness. They resonate with someone who knows who they are and stands in that without apology. That's magnetic. That's leadership. And it starts with a decision. Ownership says, this is who I am today, and I still have the right to step into the arena. Ownership isn't arrogance. It's alignment. It's truth. It's the refusal to shrink yourself just because you're still growing. Because, newsflash, we're all still growing. Every person who's made something extraordinary didn't wait to be extraordinary before they started. They owned their voice. They owned their setbacks and still walked forward with conviction. Confidence doesn't require a perfect track record. It requires courage. The courage to show up when your voice is shaking. The courage to take action when fear is present. The courage to say, I am enough for this moment and I will grow into what's next. That's what ownership looks like. You stop asking the world for permission and start giving yourself the green light. Because if you're constantly trying to earn your value through being flawless, you'll never feel. You'll live in a loop of never enoughness, stuck behind the illusion of needing to be more before doing more. You can't think your way into confidence. You act your way into it. And the only way to act is to own the moment you're in. Stop rehearsing inadequacy. Stop repeating the story that says you're not qualified, not ready, not worthy. Because every time you take a step forward in ownership, when you speak up, when you try again, when you keep going, you're wiring your brain to believe you're someone who does. That identity is worth 1,000 polished moments of perfection. Own your mess, own your genius, own your voice, own your space. That's where real confidence is born. Not when you get everything right, but when you decide you already have everything you need to move forward. Even failure looks different when you're operating from ownership. When you own your process, failure isn't a threat, it's a stepping stone. It's part of the path, not a sign you don't belong. Perfection tries to avoid failure at all costs. Ownership uses it, learns from it, transforms it into fuel. So the next time you hesitate, waiting for everything to be perfect, remember this. The world doesn't need another flawless mask. It needs people willing to own their journey, people who speak with conviction, who act with integrity, who show up not because they're the most polished, but because they're the most present. Your past is a chapter, it's not the whole book. It's not your identity, it's not your destiny. It's data, it's experience, it's something to learn from, not something to live in. The power lies in recognizing that you don't have to keep reliving what once happened. You don't have to keep playing small because of a version of you that no longer exists. You are not broken. You are not damaged. You are becoming. And becoming is a choice you make every single day. People will try to remind you of who you used to be. Your own mind will throw it at you too. All the failures, all the pain, all the times you didn't show up the way you wanted to. That's okay. It's human. But none of that defines you unless you let it. Your past cannot stop you unless you keep dragging it into the present. And the most dangerous thing you can do is mistake your past behavior for your permanent identity. Behavior is what you did. Identity is what you decide. There comes a moment in your life when you have to stop dragging your history into your future. Too many people are imprisoned by the weight of their past. Mistakes they made, things that happened to them, moments that broke them, labels they were given. They wear their past like a name tag and wonder why they can't move forward. But hear this loud and clear. You are not your past. You are your decisions. People will try to remind you of who you used to be. Your own mind will throw it at you too. All the failures, all the pain, all the times you didn't show up the way you wanted to. That's okay, it's human. But none of that defines you unless you let it. Your past cannot stop you unless you keep dragging it into the present. And the most dangerous thing you can do is mistake your past behavior for your permanent identity. Behavior is what you did. Identity is what you decide. If your past was dark, let it be contrast to the light you now choose. If it was painful, let it be the fire that forged your resilience. If it was disappointing, let it be the catalyst that awakens your hunger for more. But whatever it was, it is not who you are. You are the one who decides what happens next. You decide what happens next. That decision, not your memory, not your reputation, not your regrets, determines who you become. One new decision can change the entire trajectory of your life. One bold move, one standard raised, one boundary set, one belief adopted. That's the power you have. And that power is not tied to your past. It's born the moment you stop looking backward and start taking ownership of your next step. You define you, not your wounds, not your fears, not the people who left, not the opportunities you missed, not the voices that said you wouldn't make it. You define you by what you decide to do from this moment forward. Your identity is not something you discover. It's something you create moment by moment with every choice you make. Do you want to be free? Then you must decide to stop rehearsing your limitations and start reinforcing your strength. That shift doesn't come from erasing your past. It comes from owning your power in the present, from choosing to stand up even when it hurts, from rewriting the narrative even when it's uncomfortable, from refusing to let yesterday steal one more ounce of today's potential. Your decisions rewire your identity. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, courage over fear, healing over hurt, you reinforce a new version of yourself. You begin to believe, I'm someone who follows through. I'm someone who stands up. I'm someone who changes even when it's hard. And the more you live in that alignment, the less control your past has over you. Because you're no longer trying to fix what happened. You're too focused on building what's next. This isn't about denial. It's not about pretending nothing painful ever happened. It's about deciding that what happened doesn't get to own you anymore. Yes, it shaped you. Yes, it may have hurt. But it does not get to write the rest of your story unless you hand it the pen. And you're stronger than that. You've made it through things you thought would break you. You've grown even if no one noticed, and now you have the chance to step into your power. Not because the past disappeared, but because you finally realized it doesn't define you. Fear is not the enemy. Excuses are not enemies either. They are indicators, signals pointing directly at your resistance, showing you the exact areas where growth is possible. You don't need to get rid of fear. You need to face it, talk to it, and move anyway. Because when you realize that fear is just emotion and not a verdict, you take back your power. You step into the driver's seat of your life instead of waiting for the road to feel smooth before you start moving. The difference between the person who grows and the person who stays stuck is never who had more fear. It's who decided to act despite fear. It's who made the bold choice to look fear in the eye and say, you don't get to make my decisions anymore. When you see fear as a challenge, you start using it. It becomes a compass. If you're afraid to speak up, that's your growth edge. If you're scared to fail, that's where your courage is hiding. If you keep telling yourself you can't, that's exactly where you need to lean in. Fear and excuses lose their power the moment you treat them like teachers, not tyrants. Fear teaches you where you care. Excuses teach you what stories you've been holding on to. And once you confront them, you take responsibility. That's where ownership begins. That's where change becomes non-negotiable. So don't wait to stop being afraid. Don't wait to stop making excuses. Instead, start acting in a way that makes fear irrelevant. Start choosing progress over perfection. Start deciding that fear is simply a challenge, and you are the kind of person who rises to every challenge you face. Excuses try to tell you that your circumstances are permanent. They try to tell you that your limitations are set in stone, but your limitations are almost always self-imposed. And once you decide to challenge them, they start to fall apart. Your mind might scream, "What if I fail?" But the real question is, what if I don't try? What if you wake up 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now and realize you were capable all along? But let excuses win. Every breakthrough begins with a decision, not to be fearless, but to be courageous. To say, yes, I feel afraid. Yes, I feel uncertain. And I'm still showing up. That's how you build muscle. That's how you build identity. That's how you win. You don't win by avoiding fear. You win by walking through it, proving to yourself that you are bigger than the challenge in front of you. It's easy to wait for the perfect time. Easy to say, I'll start when I feel ready. But the truth is, readiness is a myth. Confidence doesn't come before the action. It comes from the action. And when you stop letting fear and excuses dictate your pace, your power begins to multiply. Because you're not just fighting fear, you're building a new identity. One that says, I move even when it's hard. One that says, I do what others won't, so I can live how others can't. You become the person you tell yourself you are, not overnight, but through consistent reinforcement. So declare it, live it, repeat it, because the words you say and the actions you take are not just shaping your day, they're shaping you. This is why rituals matter. Morning declarations, evening reflections, small daily disciplines. These are not fluff. These are identity tools. Every time you speak life into who you're becoming and follow through with aligned action, you close the gap between who you are and who you want to be. The key is consistency, not intensity. You don't have to yell it. You don't need to post it on social media. What matters is that you say it to yourself and live it consistently enough that your nervous system starts to believe it's who you are. And when your nervous system believes it, you no longer need motivation. You move on momentum. Let's be clear. Self-declaration without action is just noise. But when you declare and follow through, even in small ways, you reinforce the identity you're choosing. If you say, I'm someone who takes care of my body, and you go to the gym when it's hard, you're building that identity. If you say, I'm a creator, not a consumer, and you write, build, or produce something each day, even for 15 minutes, you're wiring that into your system. Identity is behavior repeated. The problem is that most people are consistent in the wrong direction. They're consistently negative, consistently doubtful, consistently small, and that repetition shapes a limited identity. But if you can flip that, if you can make the choice to declare strength, focus, growth, purpose, and back it with action, you become unstoppable. Your brain is always listening. It's not just hearing what you say, it's shaping your self-concept based on what you repeat. Consistency isn't about shouting affirmations once and hoping they stick. It's about declaring who you are and showing up in alignment with that truth over and over again, even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching, because the most powerful identities are forged in silence and repetition. You've probably already experienced this in reverse. Think about the times you told yourself, I'm not good enough, or I always mess things up, or this is just who I am. Say that enough times, live like it's true, and it becomes part of your identity. Not because it was true to begin with, but because repetition creates belief, and belief creates behavior. And that's the trap. Most people let old experiences or someone else's voice define them. They replay stories that don't serve them and then wonder why they stay stuck.